let your feet be as wide apart as your mat. Toes turned in, knees leaning together. Thighs tied together, but it's not a tourniquet. You're not cutting off circulation. Pillow underneath your head if you like it. And your blocks nearby. Toes turn in, knees leaning together, hands low on your tummy. Find some nice deep belly breaths. Let your breath come slowly in and out through your nose. Work those shoulders down away from your ears. Maybe shake your head no. Wiggle your jaw. Let the sides, the back of your neck get longer. Maybe reach down, spread your hips out a little bit. Really let your backside melt into the earth. And begin to cultivate those deep belly breaths. You can work up some spit and swallow and help stimulate digestion, help divert blood flow into your abdominal region, get your guts working. Do an internal belly massage with deep breath. And just let your internal eye open. Your actual physical eyes are closed as your attention turns inward. Belly rising and falling. Self-soothing. Calming yourself down. Centering. Turning your attention inward. And begin to heel toe. Wiggle your feet narrow, closer together. And then ease your knees in toward your chest as you remove the belt. Setting your feet down 1 foot at a time, both feet flat. Unbuckle your belt. Set it aside, but keep it nearby. As you bring one knee at a time, both knees come in towards your chest. Begin to rock your hips from side to side, spreading your back out on the ground a little bit more. With your knees coming in to squish against your belly, try to keep breathing. Deep belly breaths. Come to neutral. With one hand on each knee, straighten your arms, moving your knees away from your chest. And with one hand on each knee, widen your knees apart. And then squeeze your thighs together. Arms fully extended. Bring your knees together using your hands. And then bring your knees in only as close as they come with your knees glued together. So they might actually come in closer if you let your knees separate, but keep your knees narrow, glued together as you bring your knees in towards your chest using the strength of your arms. It's a little squishier on your guts this way. So holding on to your knees, if you're not getting a good grip on your knees, you can use your belt. Get a really good grip on those knees, keep your thighs together, and breathe against your thighs. Deep belly breaths. And I know this is a bit squishy, and it would be more comfortable if your legs were wider apart. Deal with it, you'll be fine. Deep belly breaths as best you can, breathing against your thighs. So your challenge is to take deep, calming, soothing belly breaths, even when you're not 100% comfortable. Kind of like life. You relax your shoulders, and you relax your jaw, and you relax your butt. And just keep breathing. After 3 or 4 breaths, it might get a little easier. Your muscles start to hang from the bones. Your bones start to settle in. Maybe your feet can get floppier. Maybe your thighs soften. Maybe your guts squish. Maybe your back spreads out. Maybe it gets more comfortable with each and every breath. Maybe you get used to it. And then you're going to transfer both hands over to that right knee and set your left foot down on the ground. Turn that left big toe in, dial that left big toe in towards midline, and hold on to just the right knee. Continue to ease it down against your belly. And now only half of your belly is squished. Maybe it's a little easier to breathe. Not half as challenging. Keep on breathing. Check in with your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, your butt, your gut. As you let that right thigh continue to melt down into your abdomen. Letting your right thigh soften against your ribs. And then holding on to that right knee, straighten both arms, moving that knee away from your chest. It's going to move slow, like it doesn't want to move. It got used to that new situation. So coming out of that new normal just a little bit, pushing that knee away from your chest, you're going to cross that right foot to the outside of your left leg. Now that right thigh is going to come in diagonal towards your left shoulder. Hips are going to stay down on the ground. As you bring that right knee in diagonal across your belly, right knee angles towards left shoulder, get a good grip on it. Maybe interlace your fingers or use your belt to hold on to that right knee. Your right thigh comes diagonal across your belly, kind of like a windshield wiper. Squishes a slightly different portion of your guts. And you feel a slightly different stretch in your butt as you do your best to breathe. Check in with your shoulders, your neck, your jaw, your hips. Let that thigh ease in against your belly. Keep on belly breathing. Again, the magic happens when you just let it. When you breathe into it, and you take the time to settle into the new normal. Get comfortable with it, even though it is slightly awkward. It's weird, it's different. Invite whatever change is happening in your body. And with that right thigh heavy, diagonal across your belly, hands heavy on the knee, you're going to drag that knee from left to right, open out to the side. So it sweeps across your belly like a windshield wiper, out to the side. So this is my right leg. I'm holding onto it with my right hand. I got my belt. I'm going to take that belt around the bottom of my right foot and then haul that right foot up flat towards the ceiling. So it's like a lunge. Got long enough arms, skinny enough legs, you might be able to hold on to the bottom of the foot, or you can use that belt around the bottom of the foot to hold on to that foot. And breathe. Shoulders relax. Relax your face, your neck, your jaw. Get a good grip on that belt or a good grip on that foot. Continue to cultivate those deep belly breaths. Again, you might find after 3 or 4 breaths, stuff starts to settle. You get habituated, used to this new position. And just like life, before you get too comfortable here, I'm going to switch it up. Keep that foot flexed flat and cross that right ankle onto your left thigh. Let that right knee swing out away from your face. Right foot is flexed flat, ankle bone on thigh bone pressing against ankle bone pressing against thigh bone. So my shin is pressing against my thigh is pressing against the shin, and as I do that, my hips do something fancy, and I feel the front of my hip joint, the right hip joint, yawn open. And breathe. Let each breath be like a yawn. Now that you're no longer squishing your belly, take some nice deep belly breath. You might consider rocking from the inside edge to the outside edge of that left foot that's on the floor. You might find one butt cheek lifts up, then the other. And then the foot on the floor, the left foot. You're going to work that left foot over to the right a little bit and continue to push your right shin away from your chest. And let that whole situation descend down towards the ground. Only so far as your lower back is comfortable. So keep your lower back a little bit more comfortable in it. You do a little pelvic thrust tilt with your hips. Zip up your tight yoga pants. Try to reduce the arch in your back by engaging your abs. Now, some of you have legs, shins that just stacked up like fire logs. Go for it. That's you. Not me. My hips don't do that. So what? Both feet are flexed. And maybe one day, maybe next lifetime, you end up with your shins stacked one on top of the other. Ankles on knees, knees on ankles. You're familiar with fire log pose. Your legs are doing fire log pose. You're just chilling, breathing. And then you got to come out of this. How do you come out of it? Ease on up. And from here, cross that right leg all the way over the left. Cross that right leg all the way over the left. Breathe. This is my right leg on top. This is my left hand. This is my left hand on my right knee. And I'm going to bring that right knee in closer. We've been here before. That thigh angling across the belly. Bring that right knee in towards the left shoulder. Now the challenge is to get that other knee. With my right hand, that's my left knee. I'm going to try bringing that left knee in behind the right thigh. Maybe hold on one hand on each knee. I know this is really confusing at a distance, and I can't come by and help you straighten out your arms, so I apologize for that. If you know your right and left, you got a right hand on left knee, you got a left hand on right knee. Whatever. Holding on to your knees, maybe sliding your hands down your shins towards your ankles. Do not go past your ankles. Do not go past your ankles. Your feet are free. Easing everything in closer to your chest, maybe rocking a little bit from side to side. Maybe yawning. Still breathing. Still relaxing your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. Taking the time to breathe, to settle in. And then you're going to release that left foot. Still working this right leg. We've been doing everything on the right side. We got one more thing to do on this right side. You're going to take the belt, if you got one, around the bottom of that right foot, and you are going to raise the roof. Take that right leg high up towards the sky. My left knee is bent, my left foot is flat, my left big toe is dialed in towards the midline of the mat, and my right leg is super straight. If you're using a belt, you're going to loop the belt around the back of your hands a few times so that you can hold on without a death grip. You don't aggravate your carpal tunnel. If you don't have a belt, you just hold on to the back side of the leg. Let the back side of your leg get really broad and flat. So you might let out a little slack on that belt. This is not about putting your foot behind your head. It's about stretching the back of the thigh. So to get the back of your thigh to broaden and flatten out, to get the leg super straight, you might let out a little slack so the leg goes super straight. And let the thigh be heavy. We started class in constructive rest pose with knees bent, tied together so your thigh bones could settle down deep into your pelvis. Even here, you still want your thigh bones, particularly this right thigh bone, to plug down deep into your pelvis. So your back waistband gets broad and flat so that your hips are very heavy on the ground. You might even float that left foot an inch or so off the mat to feel a heaviness in your hips. You want to maintain that heaviness in your hips and your left foot almost weightless on the floor as you set it back down. So the weight of both thigh bones plugging into your pelvis. Little to no weight at all in your left foot on the floor. And you're here to breathe, deep belly breaths. Even though that thigh is no longer against your belly, breathe against your thigh. Let your bones settle. Inhale. And then exhale, let that right knee bend. Set the belt aside, keep it nearby. Extend one leg at a time, both legs straight out. Shrug your shoulders down away from your ears, shake your head down, wiggle your jaw. Take a moment to pause. Take some nice deep belly breaths. And we'll do the other side. So moving slowly, as if there was any other way to move. Sunday morning, bend one knee at a time, put both feet flat. Shake your head down, wiggle your jaw, settle in, spread out. You're going to bring one knee at a time, both knees into your chest. Rock from side to side, walk your hips away from your shoulders. With one hand on each knee, straighten your arms, moving your knees away from your chest. Then glue your legs together. Keep them super glued together as you bring them back in towards your body, only coming in as close as you can come with your legs still glued together. Again, they might not come in as close as they would if you let your knees separate. You might use that belt to get a good grip on your legs as you ease your knees in toward your chest, any amount at all. Interlacing your fingers or using that belt to hold on to your knees, keeping your knees together. And you know the drill. We're here for at least 3 or 4 breaths. Settling in, finding this new normal, breathing. Breathing against your thighs. And maybe swallow again. Emphasize those deep belly breaths. And then both hands move over to your left knee. And stand the right foot up on the floor. Turn that right big toe in towards midline. Let your shoulders shrug away from your ears. Hold on to just that left knee. Left thigh squishing in against your guts. Shoulders, neck, and jaw relaxed. Check in with your jaw, your neck, your shoulders. All right, now both hands on that left knee. You're going to straighten your arms to move that knee away from your chest. You'll notice it doesn't want to move. It's kind of sluggish. So straighten your arms, pushing that left knee away from your chest. Let your left foot cross to the outside of your right thigh. And then bring that left knee at an angle down across your belly. Both hips are still on the floor. This will give you a little outer butt stretch on that left side. And you're squishing diagonal across your belly. Left knee angled towards right shoulder. Heavy arms, relaxed shoulders, neck, and jaw. Big yawn-like breaths, deep belly breaths. Settling in. Even though you know what's coming up next, just be here in the moment. We spend so much time occupied with what's going on, what's going to happen, what's going to come, that we don't breathe in the present moment. We find ourselves holding our breaths about stuff that hasn't even happened yet, that we don't really have much control of. Imagine cultivating the ability to just be in the present moment where, everything's not that bad right now. And just being comfortable when we can be comfortable about what we can be comfortable about. All right, so go ahead, flex that left foot. Sweep that left thigh across your belly like a windshield wiper, swiping away. Sweeping from right to left, over to the left side, maybe finding that belt along the way because you're going to climb up that shin to hold on to the bottom of the foot. We're doing that funky lunge. You don't quite reach the bottom of the foot, use the belt. Get a good grip on that foot. Foot is flat towards the sky, shin more or less straight up and down, thigh over there, hanging out on the left side of your body. Big belly breaths. So holding onto the belt or holding onto that foot, just letting the weight of your arm and shoulder provide traction on that leg. Relaxing your shoulders, neck, and jaw. Yawning. All right. So this left foot is flexed flat. Your right foot's flat on the floor. Your right big toe is dialed in towards midline. And you're going to let that left ankle cross over your right thigh. Let that left knee continue to turn out. Left foot flexed flat, ankle bone on thigh bone pressing up against ankle bone pressing down against thigh bone hard. So the front of that left hip yawns open. Deep belly breaths. Check in with your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. Maybe shake your head no. Wiggle your jaw, yawn. And get comfortable with this new situation. You might consider rocking from the inside edge to the outside edge of that right foot on the floor. That right knee kind of swings like the domino thing we did at the beginning of class. You rock side to side. You'll notice that if the slower you go, the further you'll go. And each time you go a little bit further. So just tick-tocking side to side. Maybe start walking that right foot, the one on the floor, over to the left. Eventually maybe stacking your shins. Again, my hips don't do that, but some of yours do. Feet flex flat. If you're familiar with fire log pose, you're doing a supine, a fallen fire log pose. Eventually, maybe one day your shins stack one on top of the other. Ankle bones on thigh bones on ankle bones. But don't force it to happen. Try to breathe. Deep belly breath. And then slowly come back. Knee or toe heel, that right foot back into position. And then let that left leg cross all the way over your right. Left leg crosses over right. And I know right and left is confusing and I can't help you, but here we go. This is my left thigh. This is my right hand. This is my right hand on my left knee, and I'm going to bring that left knee in closer. And reach around with the other hand to hold on to the other knee. Bring that in closer. Maybe sliding hands down shins to hold on to ankles. Keeping your feet free. Bringing that whole situation in closer to your chest. Maybe yawning. Check in with your shoulders, your neck, your jaw. So the request day was shoulders, neck, and jaw stuff. Why am I doing all this hip stuff? Well, in case you haven't noticed, some of you with shoulder, neck, and jaw stuff tend to tense up your shoulders, neck, and jaw whenever you find yourself in uncomfortable, unfamiliar, strange, stressful situations, like stretching out your hips. Just make a mental note that you have that tendency to grind your teeth or clench your shoulders. Tighten up your neck whenever you are uncomfortable, whenever you're unfamiliar with your situation. So knowing that about yourself, maybe you can catch yourself doing that next time you are stressed. This is also good preparation for a good comfy seat, because we're going to be doing some seated neck and shoulder stretches in a few moments here. But from here, release that right foot back down to the ground. Bring that left knee into your chest once again, and you know where we're going with this one. The belt's going to go around the bottom of that left foot, and you are going to raise the roof. What? Take that left leg high up towards the sky. Maybe loop the belt around the back of your hands a few times. The right foot on the floor dials in towards midline, and that left thigh gets super heavy. Let it plug into your pelvis. At the back of your left thigh, widen out. So you might let out a little slack on that belt so your leg can get super, super straight and super heavy. Plug in. Check to see that all your weight is in your hips. Maybe float that right foot off the mat an inch. And let it set down weightless on the ground. All the weight of both legs in your pelvis. Check in with those shoulders, neck, and jaw. Breathe deep belly breaths. Just be in the moment. Again, if you don't have a belt, you are holding on to that leg. So the leg can be really heavy, really relaxed, really plugged in. Nice deep inhale. Exhale. Let that left knee bend into your chest. Set the belt aside. You're going to shoot the left leg straight. Flex the left foot flat. Right knee is still bent. Maybe drag that right heel in a little closer, and then let that right knee fall open out to the side. So if you're familiar with tree pose, foot against thigh, thigh against foot, do a fallen tree. So I'm doing a tree pose. My right foot is against my left thigh. My left thigh is pressing up against my right foot. My left foot is flexed flat. So far, so good. I'm going to move my pillow out of the way. I'm going to extend my arms overhead. Pressing through that left heel, reaching through fingertips, getting nice and long. Foot against thigh, thigh against foot, zipping up my tight yoga pants, doing a slight pelvic thrust. Till this, I activate my abs. And then I'm going to walk both hands over towards the right, over towards the bent knee. And I'm going to kind of shift my shoulders, crawl my upper body, still lying down flat-ish. Crawl my upper body over towards the bent knee as far as I can go. And I can even reach down with my right hand. See that way. Maybe I can reach down and hold on to it. Shoot that left arm out straight, curving your upper body. Getting a deep stretch to the left side of your torso. Breathing. And then release. Knowing, pull your hands down by your hips. You got one hand on that knee. Go ahead and lift that right knee up. Recenter your shoulders. Right knee is lifted up. You're going to bring that right knee in towards your chest and take that right leg across your body, letting your right butt cheek roll away from the ground, rolling into a twist. You got blocks nearby? If it's too much on your lower back, you can take a block underneath that right knee, catch that leg, so you don't overstretch that SI joint on the right side there. Coming into a nice twist. So you might have a block underneath that right knee, or you can use your hand underneath that right knee, and you can kind of, I don't know, jiggle, wiggle, stir, or settle in, whatever works for you. You can put your right hand on your butt cheek. You can have your left hand supporting the inside of that knee pit, and you can kind of wiggle and jiggle if that appeals to you. Or you can just settle in, knee on a block, or maybe your knee goes all the way to the floor. Just breathe. And then release, come back, reset, back to neutral. 1 foot, both feet bend, knees bend, feet flat. Recenter yourself out on the mat. Get situated. And we'll do the other side. So I've got my knees bent, feet flat. I'm going to shoot my right leg straight. Flex that right foot flat. I think the birds in the backyard approve. All right, left knee opens out to the side for a tree pose variation. Supporting that left knee if you need to. Foot against thigh, thigh against foot. Gonna crawl your upper body over towards the bent knee. Crawl your upper body over towards the bent knee. Maybe reach down with your left hand to hold on to that bent knee. Right arm shoots overhead, going to that side stretching supine tree variation. Nice deep belly breath. Exhaling to pull your tummy in to intensify that side stretch. Nice deep yawn-like breaths. And then you're going to come back to neutral and bring that left knee in and across as you let your left hip roll over into a twist. If your right knee doesn't come to the floor, you can put a block underneath it. You can even use your right hand to support that knee, if that works for you. Left hand can find that top left butt cheek, and you can wiggle and jiggle, stir, steer, stir. Or settle in, whatever works for you. From here, I'm going to continue to roll over onto your right side. Continue to roll over onto hands and knees. Padding beneath your knees, highly recommended. Hands beneath your shoulders, toes curled under. Begin with an inhale, come into your cow. And exhale into your cat. Inhaling for cow. And exhaling for cat. Keep on moving back and forth through cat and cow. And the next time you exhale into your cat pose, bring your big toes together, separate your knees wide, and press your hips back over your heels. So press into your hands to round your back dramatically, stapling your hips onto your heels. Your head may not touch anything, probably floating. And then walk your hands up onto your lap. Might want to watch this one. Okay, lift your head up and have a quick look. In a moment, we're going to be doing a variation on a child's pose. It's a moving child's pose. I think of clam shells at the bottom of the fish tank when I do this one. So if you've ever had an aquarium and you had a bubbler connected to that clam shell, it kind of looks like this. So I'm going to be in a child's pose. You'll be here in a moment. And in a moment, you'll walk both hands over to one side. So imagine I had a stripe painted down the side of my body right here. And I'm going to let that stripe, the lip of the clamshell, as I inhale, open up towards the sky. I'm going to push into this bottom hand on the floor to help me open up that clamshell. And then as I exhale, I'm going to seal the lip of that clamshell down towards the ground. So as I inhale, bubble, 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 open, open, open. And then as I exhale, close down. All right, I showed you mine. You get to show me yours. I'll talk you through it. So hopefully you don't need to watch me do it anymore because we've done it once. Now let's do it together. So from big toes together, knees apart, hips back on your heels for child's pose. Walk both hands over to your right. Feel the left side of your body long. And with an inhale, open, open, open. Maybe press into your right hand to open up that side body a little bit more. And then as you exhale, close down. Left arm just kind of floats. Inhale, press into the bottom hand, right hand. Inhale, open, open, open. Exhale down. How about two more on this side? Your head is hanging the entire time. You might even have your eyes closed. Exhaling to close. Inhale to open one final time on this side. Exhale down. And then you're going to sweep over to the other side and take 4 breaths on this side. Again, the left hand can help you push into the floor to open, open, open. Inhale, inhale, inhale. And exhale down. 3 more. I think we got 1 more to go here. Honestly, I lost count. I was just feeling it. And then you're going to come back to neutral. From neutral, it is downward facing dog time. If down dog doesn't work for you, you can be on hands and knees. You can keep working through that cat and cow. You can keep doing the side stretching thing. Whatever. It's your Sunday morning. It's your body. You do with it what you want. If you're working the down dog, you're going to take your feet as wide apart as the mat, and you're going to let your hips sway wide from side to side. And you're going to work that stretch from pinky finger to armpit to hip to pinky toe through the sides of your body as you sway your hips wide from side to side. Maybe bending one knee, then the other. Pivoting on the balls of your feet, swinging your heels one way and then the other. Stretch it out, move it out. Let your head hang. And then let's all come on down to hands and knees once again. Once again, padding underneath your knees, highly recommended. Because we're going to come up to gate pose, Parigasana, gate pose. Padding underneath your knees, let's come up to kneeling. You're going to kick your right leg out to the side. So I do have two cameras on me, but one camera is the wide angle, and that might be a better view because then you can see what my arms are doing overhead. So if you need to switch camera views, feel free to do that. Right leg out to the side. If you've got ballerina feet and the toes can touch down to the ground, so what? If you don't have ballerina feet, your toes don't touch the ground, so what? Flex the foot. You do want the knee pointing up towards the sky. You don't want the knee falling in. You want the knee dialed out, pointing up towards the sky. And all your weight is on your left knee, and your left knee is straight down underneath your left hip. So do put some padding underneath it. Shoulders are back and down. Palms turn up as you inhale. Take your arms up and overhead. And then as you exhale, let the back of your right hand rest on your thigh. Make sure that knee is unlocked. Reach up long and tall through your left arm and tip over into a side stretch. Let your head hang. You might even nod your head. Make sure your shoulders drop away from your ears. Head is hanging. Breathe. Now let's leave your head hanging. Lift that top arm straight up towards the sky. Turn your palm forward. Continue to rotate your palm so now your palm faces away from you, and bring that left hand down diagonal off your left hip, reaching down through your fingertips. Head is hanging. You might nod your head, tuck and untuck your chin as you let your head hang and reach down through your left fingertips. And then reach down through that left hand to slowly come back up to kneeling and put your head on. And let's switch sides. So if you're really unsteady, I could have had you have that block nearby. You can do this with a block also. Kick that left leg out. So if you had an imaginary line down the middle of your mat, your knee and your foot are on the same line. See, I've got the different color mats here. My knee and the foot are more or less on the same line. And if you have ballerina foot, you can put the ball of your foot down. Still have your knee pointing up towards the sky. Go for it. Whatever. Otherwise, you just flex your foot. Make sure this knee does not hyperextend or bend backwards. Especially if you're going to tip over and put weight on it, make sure that knee is unlocked. Your quadricep is engaged. If you're using a block, the block can go to the outside of the thigh. All right, shoulders back and down. All your weight straight down the midline of your body. Knee directly underneath your hip. Palms turn up. Inhale, arms come up. And exhale, let the back of your left hand rest on your lap. Make sure that knee is unlocked. Okay. Reach up long through that right arm. And then tip over. Parigasana, tree, gate pose, or windswept tree. I heard Brandy call it windswept tree once. So I use Sanskrit, and I mispronounce it because I'm a white chick who grew up in California. Not my native language, sorry. But I use Sanskrit because the English names for all these poses are so varied. Manu, who teaches Kundalini, called it windswept tree. I've heard it called gate. But everybody who knows Sanskrit will call it Parigasana. All right, sides. Stretch here. Reach long through that right hand. Palm flat towards the ground. Head is hanging. You can nod your head. Tuck and untuck your chin. Let your head hang. And then lift that top arm up. Turn your palm forward. Continue to rotate that top hand. So now your palm will face the ground as you bring that right hand down diagonal off your side hip. Head is still hanging. Still shake your head no. Wiggle your jaw. Maybe even yawn. Knee is unlocked on that straight leg. And then reach down diagonal through that right hand as you come all the way back up. Tipping your head on straight. Wiggling your jaw. All right, you're halfway there. Go ahead, swing that leg out in front. Come all the way up to standing. Clear the area, except for your blocks. Have those blocks nearby. If you have more than one block, I'm going to encourage you to start setting up more than one mat, I should say. Encourage you to set your mats up in a cross, an X, so that you can step your feet wide and still look at the camera. All right, so you're going to step your feet wide, still look at the camera. Turn your toes in slightly, so your heels are as wide apart as your outstretched arms, ankles underneath wrists. And put your hands on your thighs, bend your knees, press your inner thighs back, and flip your buns up, hun, as you drop your head down towards the ground. Fingertips can find the floor or blocks, whatever you have there. Hands can be on blocks or fingertips can be on ground. Hands straight down beneath your shoulders. So you're making a tabletop with your back. And pull your belly in to support your midsection. So don't let your guts fall out. Hands are straight down underneath your shoulders. You're going to bring your right hand in narrow. So if you had a runny nose, your right hand would be in that puddle. Fingertips can be on the floor or on a block, whatever. Your hand is touching something. Midsection pulled up, so you have a nice flat tabletop surface with your back, and your left hand is free. And with an inhale, sweep that left arm up and open. Follow it with your gaze. Rotate to look up towards that top hand. Let's take that top hand, turn it like you're going to smack yourself on the butt, palm facing back. Continue to rotate it. So now the back of your hand can slip around the small of your back. Maybe tuck your fingertips into your waistband or onto your thigh, depending on how big your waistband is, how big your thigh is. So that top shoulder wrapping around your spine. Let your head fall. Let your head hang. Breathe. And then unwind. Take that top arm high towards the sky and back down towards the ground. Let's switch sides. Left hand replaces right. Midsection pulled up into your body, knees unlocked, toes are spread. With an inhale, sweep that right arm up and open, revolve to look up towards that top hand. Turn that top hand like you're going to smack yourself on the butt. Continue to rotate, so now the back of your hand can slip around the small of your back. Maybe tuck into your waistband, maybe tuck onto your thigh. And then let your head fall off. And breathe. So top shoulder shrugging onto your back. Head hanging. And you're breathing. And then unwind. Top arm straight up. And then top hand comes down to the ground. And you get to hang out. Drop your head. Clasp your hands together behind your back. Interlace your fingers. Press your knuckles up towards the sky. Let your head hang down towards the ground. Put enough bend in your knees so that you can breathe comfortably. Knuckles point straight up towards the ceiling. Head hangs straight down towards the ground. And you could shake your head now. Wiggle your jaw. Maybe even yawn. And then hands come to your hips. Hands slide down your legs all the way down to the ground. Head is still hanging as you round your back like a giant cat. Exhale, pull your tummy in tight like a cat. And then you're going to bring one knee, both knees down to the ground into that cat pose. I promised we'd be doing some seated neck stretches. That's what we're going to be doing next. So you're going to make yourself comfortable for some seated neck stretching stuff. I got 2 blocks. I'm going to arrange my blocks so I've got 1 block for each butt cheek, what I call butt cheek configuration. And I'm going to cover those blocks with a pillow because it's Sunday morning and I'm going to be nice to myself. I got my belt nearby. So I got 2 blocks, pillow on top, and I'm going to sit on top of all of that. Any seat or configuration of the legs you want. It might be simple cross-legged, might be straight-legged. If you want to do something else fancier with your legs, feel free to go there. So find a comfy seat, have your belt nearby. Turn your palms forward, take a great big shoulder shrug. Inhale up. Exhale back. Head down. Keeping your palms turned forward. Great big shoulder shrug. Great big yawn. Inhale up. Exhale back. Head down. One more time. Great big shoulder shrug. Great big yawn. Exhale back and down. Good. Grow your fingernails down towards the ground. Lift up tall through the crown of your head. Deep breath. All right. You're going to let your head fall over to the right. You're reaching down through your left hand. Palm is open, spreading your fingers wide. So you're really flaring the fingers on your left hand, pressing your fingernails down into the ground, head hanging over to the right. If you want more intensity, you can take your right hand up and over, split fingers, live long and prosper, along your ear. And breathe. So all that hip stretching stuff was so that you could sit comfortably and upright and keep your butt relaxed. Let your thigh bones settle. Let your shoulder bones drop down away from your ears. And cultivate that deep belly breathing, even here as you get a nice neck stretch. And we want those neck muscles to stay nicely relaxed. So your head will stay heavy. Leave your head here as you slip that right hand off your head, and then use that right hand on the opposite side of your head to push your head back up into position. All right, second first, same as the first. Palms turn forward. Great big shoulder shrug. Great big yawn. Your legs are crossed. You might recross, but the other leg in front, just to make yourself even. Shuffle your legs, rearrange your legs, whatever you want to do there with the legs. Make sure you're sitting on your sit bones. Your thighs are relaxed. And take some nice deep belly breaths. Shoulders are up, back, and down. Palms turned forward, fingertips growing down into the ground. Then your head tips over to the left. Wiggle your jaw, maybe even yawn, and really flare that right hand. Make your right hand look like a starfish, a startled starfish. Fingers spread wide. Head heavy. If you need or want any more intensity, take your split finger, live long and prosper, alongside that top ear. And breathe. Maybe that should be my quote of the day. Live long and prosper. Breathe. Make like a Vulcan. Unflappable. Calm and steady. Even in stressful, uncertain times. Keep on breathing. And still with your head heavy, shoulders relaxed, deep belly breath, bones settling in. Release your hand, and then use your hand to push your head back up to center. Good. Palms forward. Great big shoulder shrug. Great big yawn. I'm going to give you a couple options here. Option number one is to tuck your chin into the notch at the base of your throat. Use your fingertips on the back corners of your skull. Let your shoulders drop down away from your ears. You can do this seated neck stretch. Option number two is hare pose, H-A-R-E. It's a pose in which you do mess up your H-A-I-R. So this is optional. If you want to go for hare pose, H-A-R-E, your big toes are together, your knees are apart, and you're going to put your mohawk on the floor down between your knees. And you're going to roll along the line of your mohawk to the base of your skull. It's going to mess up my hair. So shoulders will shrug away from your ears, chin is tucked into your chest, you're rolling along the line of that mohawk, getting a more intense stretch on the back of the neck. Again, that hare pose is optional. Breathing is not. So whatever option you've chosen this morning, Do make sure you are breathing. And breathe into that space between your shoulder blades. Breathe into the back of your neck, the base of your skull. Let your shoulders move away from your ears. And then slowly use your hands to come up out of this. I'm going to turn my back to you. I don't know how good it's going to help, but I'm going to try. Turning my back to you, so the right and left might be a little less confusing. Sit any way you like. And you're going to locate your right arm. Palm is turned forward and your right shoulder blade. And your challenge, if you choose to accept it, is to pull that right shoulder blade down your back. Try to staple that right shoulder blade in against your spine and tip the corner, the bottom edge of that shoulder blade into your waistband. So slide that right shoulder blade down your back. I have got a cactus arm here with my right hand. Palm is turned forward. Now my left hand is free. I'm going to turn to look down into my left armpit. And I might even take that left hand to the back corner of my head, the bone on the back of my head, to add a little bit more weight. So I'm looking down into my left armpit. Left hand is on my head. My right hand is doing a cactus thing, and I'm drawing that right shoulder blade down my back. The more you can pull that right shoulder blade down your back, the more intense this upper trapezius neck stretch will be. So it's all about pulling that right shoulder blade down your back as hard and as low as you can go. And then ease up and release. Now, not everybody's tight everywhere, but most people are tight here. If you didn't feel it, lucky you. If you did feel it, we're going to do the other side. Shoulders up, back, and down. Lucky you. Okay? Shoulders are up, back, and down. Left hand up. Make that cactus goalpost arm, left arm. Shoulder blade sliding down your back. Tuck that lower tip of that shoulder blade into your waistband and keep your waistband withdrawn into your body. You're going to look down into your right armpit. Take your right hand up and over to the back of your head. Add a little bit more weight if you like it. And breathe. Trick to this one to get deeper into the stretch is drawing that left shoulder blade down your back. And then ease up and release. Palms forward, great big shoulder shrug, great big yawn. Hitchhike your thumbs back, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Clasp your hands behind your back, skid your thumbs down your tailbone, squeeze your shoulder blades together. Keep tucking those shoulder blades into your back waistband, creating a wrinkle of skin between your shoulder blades. And you're pulling your belly in, and you're sliding your head straight back on a conveyor belt. So the back of your neck is long, your chin is slightly tucked. You got a slight double chin going on here. And you're doing your best to breathe. And then release. All right. You're going to swing your legs out in front. Have all your toys nearby. Your pillows, your blocks, belt, all that fun stuff nearby. You're going to bring your hands behind your back. If you have hypermobile knees and elbows, stuff that locks out, hyperextends, you're probably better with your fingers pointing towards your butt. If you don't have a looseness, ligament laxity in your joints, and you want a little bit more shoulder stretch, you can spin your fingers to point backwards. If you do spin your fingers to point backwards, make sure you do not lock out or hyperextend your elbows. If you spin your fingers to point backwards, you're going to work your pinky fingers in as narrow, close together as you can get them. Press into the palms of your hands and jut your chest out. I call this one mud flap lady pose. I'll turn profile view for you to see that a little bit better. You're going to do your best mud flap lady, like on the back of a semi-truck, the mud flaps impersonation. So fingers turned forward or spun backwards, but do be conscious of what you're doing to your elbows, and puff your chest out. Try not to lock those elbows. Really stick your chest out really big. Knees are bent just enough to put your feet flat. Big puffy chest, squeezing your shoulder blades together. And then if it works for you, you let your head roll around to the back. There should be a nice wrinkle of skin for you to rest your head on. Swallow, breathe. If you need even more stretch, maybe pop up onto fingertips. Puff your chest out even more. Maybe take your bottom lip over your top lip and pout. Breathe. To come out of this, unpout. Let your head roll around to the front. Then you're going to bend your elbows. You're going to sit on the backs of your hands. So fingernails go underneath your waistband. Just fingertips go underneath the top of your butt as you bring your elbows in narrow. I still have my knees bent, feet flat. And puff your chest out. Big puffy chest. Skinny belly if you can get it. Don't let your guts spill out. Keep your belly pulled in as you puff your chest out. Chin slides back on a conveyor belt, make a double chin, and then let your head roll around the other side and fall off. We're doing like a modified fish pose here. Big stretch across the front of your shoulders, head hanging back, pushing into your elbows, puffy, puffy chest. And then to come out of this, head rolls around to the side and then back to the front. We're going to make our way down to the ground. So you're going to widen those elbows, bring those hands out from underneath you, and come on down. Still got your knees bent, feet flat. From here, you might consider putting that pillow underneath your head. Let your feet go as wide apart as your mat. And let your knees tick-tock side to side. Windshield wipe. Just in case you were gripping your back on that mud flap lady pose. This is your lower back release. So that mud flap lady pose is my variation on a beginner's Purvattanasana or reverse plank pose. For some people, the full reverse plank is too much on their elbows and wrists, and so I like to do that mud flap lady pose as an alternative. And it's a nice way to work down towards the ground. Just tick-tocking side to side, settling in. If you had enough and you're down for the count, hey, we're back where we started. You can finish up by tying your legs together and doing your constructive rest pose variation on Shavasana. But if you want a little bit more intensity, if you want a little bit more shoulder stretch, neck stretch, you have the option of doing a bridge. If you choose to join me in bridge, you're going to do it without anything underneath your head. So ditch the pillow, nothing underneath your head. If you're joining me for bridge pose, you might consider using a block or two. And if you're joining me for bridge pose, you're going to heel toe wiggle your feet narrow, closer together. Put a block between your knees. Squeeze it. Knees bent, feet flat. Squeeze that block, don't drop it. Squeezing the block helps you to engage your inner thighs, which helps you to engage the pelvic floor, pull that Kegel muscle in, which helps you to engage all your core muscles. And that's what you want to do. You want to engage your inner thighs, engage that pelvic floor. Exhale, zip up your tight yoga pants. Try to do it without squeezing your butt as you push into your feet. Peel your hips up in that pelvic thrust tip of the hips as you peel your hips up away from the ground. Maybe slide a block underneath your booty. It might be on the low, it might be on the medium height, whatever works for you. Still that block between your knees, you're squeezing it for your dear life so that your abs, your pelvic floor stay engaged and you protect your back. From here, you can hitchhike your thumbs out to the side, rotate your upper arms in such a way that your pale skin on the inner arms is shining up towards the sky. The tan stuff is getting tucked underneath. As you do this, try keeping those front ribs tucked in like you're getting tickled in this position. Your abs are still engaged in this position. Working your elbows and shoulders narrower underneath your body. Legs stay narrow. Keep squeezing that brick. Notice that I'm talking. Hopefully you are breathing. To make it a little less choky, tip your chin up. So there's a natural curve in the back of your neck. And breathe. How about 3, maybe 4 breaths here? If you're already down for the count, or you're hanging out in your half shavasana with your thighs tied together, and just be there, just breathe, you're fine. We'll be joining you in a few moments. Big chesty breaths. Each and every exhalation is a chance to tuck those front ribs in like you're getting tickled. Keep zipping up your tight yoga pants. Keep that pelvic floor engaged. Keep squeezing that brick between your thighs. And when you've had 3 or 4 breaths here, you're going to push into your feet just enough to hover your hips off the brick, remove the brick, and slowly lower your body down to the ground. You're going to pause with knees bent, feet flat. Remove the brick from between your knees, but keep your knees bent, feet flat. And coming into that half shavasana pose, that constructive rest pose. If you were just up in the bridge pose with me, it's going to feel like your butt is in a hole. And then we will all settle in for Shavasana, whatever that means for you. That might mean a pillow underneath your head. That might mean tying your thighs together. That might mean taking your legs out straight, doing something else fancy with your blocks or blankets. You do you as you settle in. And then returning to that breath, deep, slow belly breaths. Letting your belly rise and fall with each breath. Self-soothing. Letting go of all your worries and cares. Being almost childlike. Letting your belly move as you breathe. Just being in the moment. So as you settle in, imagine laying down in your backyard, listening to the birds, looking up at that blue sky, watching the puffy white clouds. Letting your breath be like those puffy white clouds. Please begin to wiggle your fingers and toes. Wiggle your jaw and your nose. Start to ease your knees back into your chest and untie yourself. And stretch and move and yawn. And make your way slowly over to your right side. Find your way into a seated position. We'll finish with hands together at the heart. Live long and prosper. Namaste. Have a wonderful day.